Great games for Week 11 in the NFL. We got your picks here. Ravens, Steelers, Commanders, Eagles could decide two divisions, NFC East and AFC North. Let's talk about the NFC East and let's look at the Commanders at the Eagles. Tough matchup with this one. I think the Commanders with that dynamic offense, very impressive, definitely fun to watch. We thought the Steelers would slow them down a little bit more than they did. Steelers ultimately won, but not because of Jaden Daniels. He still put up his numbers. And then we look at the other side of the Eagles. Since A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith has been back, it's been a very dynamic offense with Saquon Barkley running the ball and catching the ball out of the backfield. And you have the running threat of Jalen Hurts. We think being that this is in Philly, we think home field is important. We like the Eagles here 28-24 over the Commanders. Jaguars at the Lions. The Jaguars potentially missing star quarterback Trevor Lawrence against the Lions coming off that tough game against the Texans on Sunday Night Football. This is a position that's definitely ripe for potential letdown, but we think the Lions we truly believe the Lions are the best team in the NFL. Looking at the Chiefs, of course, they are the current kings of the castle, if you will, but the Lions really what they give you on offense, that balance between the run and the pass. Jared Goff is having a great season, but the running option behind that really tough offensive line. You got Gibbs, you got Montgomery, and then all the receiving options. We don't expect Dan Campbell to allow a letdown, so we're going to go with the Lions here, 31-17 at home. The Jaguars really are reeling. We expect that Doug Peterson likely won't make it through the season. So, what's the best way to play this one? Well, we think the Lions will win this one comfortably. Think about they had a tough win at Houston, committed tons of turnovers. That shouldn't happen at home. Jaguars kept the game closer than it should have been because of Darnold's interceptions. I think the Lions minus 10. Next up, the matchup that could decide home field advantage for the AFC. We took a closer look at this one, and we realized how close the Bills and Chiefs are on record. Of course, the Chiefs are the leader in the AFC, but this one could go a long way in determining who has home field. We'll show you here the Buffalo Bills currently at 8-2. Look at that point differential, the highest in the AFC, plus 97, about 30-40 over the Kansas City Chiefs. We'll take a look at here on 9-0. But yes, the point differential of 58. So let's assume the Chiefs lose here. They go to 9-1. The Bills would then go to 9-2. Still a half game behind, but a good chance to get that number one seed. All important in the AFC playoffs. For this game, we think the Bills have a slight advantage. We're real cautious about betting this one because we know Mahomes and all those Kansas City calls, as we like to refer to them as. Buffalo did take the game last year in the regular season. Kansas City got their revenge in the playoffs with that ugly missed field goal by the Bills. We think the Bills take this one. And before we continue, just a friendly reminder, if you like this video or find it useful, please like it or subscribe and set notifications to get our future videos. We provide weekly NFL picks. We'll be doing our college picks, playoff picks, and we're going to start doing more highlights. Thank you. Next up, we've got the Browns at the Saints. Not too much to like with either of these teams. Dennis Allen's been fired, got a new head coach, and now the Browns, they had Deshaun, lost him for the season. Derek Carr's missed quite a few games. Really not a lot of offensive continuity for either of these teams. Saints also just traded away their best cover corner, Marshawn Lattimore, so definitely throwing in the towel for this season, as you would expect. So with teams like that, you don't really know what they're going to put out, but we're going to lean here for the home team. We think it's a raucous crowd. We've been to quite a few Saints games at Caesars Superdome. It's nuts. We give them the advantage, although it's close. We think the Saints will take this one 24-21. We think the best play here is the Saints minus 2. We've seen the line as low as minus 1.5. That's their take that, but 2 should be okay. We like that to cover the 3-point spread. Damn it. Vikings at the Titans. The Vikings had a very uninspired performance at Jacksonville. We have to think they're a better team than that. We were watching that game. We had the Vikings by 3, got a low line, and they barely covered that. But Sam Darnold, some of the decisions, throwing interceptions in the end zone when there's no receiver anywhere close, we've got to correct that. But we think the defense is enough. The Titans, on the other hand, have a surprisingly good pass defense. Their offense hasn't been able to keep up. We don't think they'll be able to keep up here against that Brian Flores design defense. We like the Vikings here 27-20 over the Titans in Nashville. The Raiders travel to South Florida to face the Dolphins in a game that really is meaningless for both teams. We're at that point, believe it or not, that both teams are effectively out of the playoffs, if not numerically. The Dolphins have the best chance in an AFC that's not all that strong this season. A lot of teams like the Browns, teams like that, they were expected to contend. The Jaguars have not been. And looking at this game also, last year the Raiders actually were double-digit underdogs. Cover the spread, play the Dolphins very close, but this is one of those games, if you follow the Dolphins under the Mike McDaniel era, these are the games that they win. They beat inferior opponents, teams that really don't have much to play for, below average. They'll usually blow them out, and then they lose to good teams like Buffalo. They just simply can't beat the Buffalo Bills. So that we think the pattern's going to continue. We think the Dolphins are going to put up one of those showy offensive games and beat the Raiders here 31-20. Colts at the Jets, and this is an updated pick with the news that Anthony Richardson will now be starting quarterback, replacing the largely ineffective Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco really showed none of the deep passing ability he had last year with the Browns and all the interception problems that have plagued him for most of his career. We looked at last year, his interception ratio was significantly higher than C.J. Stroud, who he faced in the playoffs. Ultimately, the Texans won. So for this game, we can't endorse either offense. We think the best way to play this is to take the under 44.5 if you can get it. We've seen that at some outlets, but we just don't think Richardson's going to be able to score against the Jets defense, and the Jets offense has been very inconsistent. We don't see them scoring much either. Seahawks at the 49ers. As a general football fan, we really want to see the 49ers back at full strength. We were amazed looking at the statistics earlier this week. 49ers are still top 5 in passing offense, even missing Christian McCaffrey for most of the year, and then Brandon Ayuk, the top receiver. So really, Brock Purdy's doing a better job than I think people are giving him credit for. And then now with McCaffrey coming back, you got that dynamic run-pass balance, and the defense is starting to get a little healthier. The Seahawks, that game against the Rams, we saw one of the worst plays we've seen all season. Geno Smith throwing it into the end zone on first and goal from, we think, the 6. And then ultimately that was a pick six, 103-yard that cost the Seahawks the game. Several other questionable decisions. We think the Seahawks are really from that 3-0 start. They got a long way to go. We think the 49ers win this one easily, 31-17 over the Seahawks. We're not sure if the 49ers are entirely back. We think this is a good buy low opportunity with a line of 6 over the Seahawks at home. We think this will be the first game when everybody's back healthy and in rhythm. That was Christian McCaffrey's first game back. We think he'll do better this time. We think they're going to roll over the Seahawks. Rams at the Patriots. You have the Rams suddenly contending in a very open NFC West this year with the 49ers not being as dominant as they've been in years past due to injuries. The other side, you see the Patriots clearly rebuilding. Drake May is now your starting quarterback. He's shown some improvement, of course, the typical growing pains of a rookie quarterback. This is one of those weird games. You look at the Rams stats and the Patriots stats, they actually come up fairly even. Patriots have a really good pass defense. I think that might play well against the pass-heavy Rams. We think this is an upset spot. We like the fact that the Rams are having to come all the way from L.A. after a Monday night game. We think they're not going to be really expecting much from the Patriots. We like the Patriots in upset 21-17. Bengals at the Chargers. The Bengals coming off that tough Thursday night loss to the Ravens in which they really got cheated. There were 2 penalties on that failed 2-point conversion. They should have at least had another opportunity. But in the majority of the game, the Bengals defense really just couldn't stop anybody. And the Bengals offense put up great numbers. Joey B was over 430 yards. I think it was 428 actually. Put up a lot of numbers. We don't think that's going to happen with the Chargers defense. Jim Harbaugh's really got that defense playing great. And now we're starting to see Justin Herbert return to his old Justin Herbert form. Prior to that, it had been mostly a rushing attack. We like the Chargers' balance, but we really love that defense. I think they're going to take care of business here. 27-17 over the Bengals. 2 ways to look at what the Bengals have done. You could look at how they were a point away from beating the Ravens. We want to look at how they did against teams with good defenses. Against the Eagles, only scored 17. Against the Browns, only scored 14. 7 was on a kickoff return. And against the Giants, only scored 17. Take the Chargers here. Falcons at the Broncos, one of the luckier teams in the NFL. The Falcons going up against the Broncos have had no luck as of recent games, losing because of a field goal block against the Chiefs. Of course, that's the Chiefs. Can anything else go right for that team to retain their 9-0, their undefeated record? But in this game, we look at the Falcons and the Broncos. Broncos and Falcons both have some of the best pass defenses in the league, but the Broncos especially have been really good with that pressure. We think against a relatively immobile quarterback such as Kirk Cousins, and again, that whole mile-high altitude advantage that they have. Huge home crowd goes nuts. We like the Broncos here 21-17. We look at this one as a best bet. Again, we think that home field is huge. We think the Broncos this is kind of a must-win game for them. Falcons effectively will have the NFC South. We like the Broncos here -2. Texans travel to Arlington to face their in-state rival Cowboys. Going into the season, we really expected this to be a great game. Coming off the season the Cowboys had last year, but now with Dak Prescott injured, the defense kind of in shambles. A lot of injuries for the Cowboys. I think the Texans are definitely the better team here. Now they're getting Nico Collins back. The receiving's better. Still have that problem with the offensive line not being able to block, so that could give the Cowboys their one edge if they pressure C.J. Stroud. But we think what the Texans will do is lean on the run because Joe Mixon has really been the difference maker this season. When he's able to run, it gives that offense a dynamic, different gear it did not have last season. So we like the Texans here 28-30 over the in-state rival and overhyped Cowboys. And next up, we have the Packers at the Bears. This tough NFC North divisional rivalry. Looking at the Packers, we truly believe this is one of the best teams in the NFC when healthy. The problem when they face the Lions, which a lot of people didn't see, Jordan Love had a groin injury in the prior game. Jair Alexander looked like he might be less than 100%. We like the Packers here over the Bears 21-14. We think the Bears' chemistry issues have really bit them. We wouldn't be surprised if Coach Matt Eberflus did not make it through the season or was fired immediately after. He hasn't done a poor job, but clearly lost control of that locker room, and that makes a big difference. Ravens at the Steelers in this tough AFC North division matchup. This division has been great matchup with the Bengals last week for the Ravens. Both of these teams, you can make the case, had lucky wins. The Steelers getting that great offsides call to preserve their 1-point victory over the Commanders. Great game for them. Might be a little bit of a letdown here with that tough game with the Ravens having the mini bye playing on Thursday. We think that makes the difference. These two teams, regardless of where they play, there's no real home field advantage with this matchup. We see the road team winning all the time. We see it again here. We think this is Baltimore's year to go further. We like them here 28-21. Sorry, Steelers fans. We'll probably pick Pittsburgh when they go to Baltimore.
That's all for this time. Thank you for joining. Please subscribe to our channel, and we look forward to sharing our future videos with you.